Okay, you guys, you know I voiced my opinion about WWE. For the last 3 weeks, we have not gotten a good product. And in fact, I don't care about Hell in a Cell. Even with Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, I don't really give a damn. But when I look at this product of TNA for the last 2 weeks, I'm very interested. I am very interested. I know this is an old concept. When you know you're in big trouble, throw out a damn tournament to make things interesting. But let's say what it is. Compared to the WWE, where they would not devote the best writing to that stupid ass tournament they would throw, in this one, even with issues in the show, both shows, I like seeing this way more than I like seeing WWE. Now, I have to be honest about this, and I gotta say it straightforward. The biggest gripe I had about TNA in the last 2 weeks, and I admit I didn't really see a lot of last week's TNA. As I've said in my previous videos, I've had my shoulder, my back, even my neck has been jacked pretty badly, and I think it was due to stress. Just totally stressed out due to my depression and situations that I'm going to have to bring up at the end of this review. One of them anyway. But I noticed in the last show there were some video editing issues. In this show it became a little more prevalent. There was some matches like Muhammad Ali Shira versus Crazy Steve from most people. There was one moment that an entire 2 or 3 seconds was gone. Some audio just didn't seem to work right. That seemed to be out of sync in some places. There just seemed to be seconds that's missing. Look, the Future group that has Eli Drake, Micah, it had Jesse Goddard's and Crimson for all people. When Eli Drake was about to say something, they cut that shit off. And I know that they're kind of constrained for time. I know that. But it was so abrupt and sloppy, it just turned me off a little bit. So my biggest gripe was that. But in general, the way they moved this show along was actually very good. The backstage sit-downs with the X Division, with the originals, was very good. Even the part with Eli Drake at the very end getting cut off abruptly was actually very good. The problem I always said is that TNA does not give these guys time to really build up a character, build up interest, build up caring. And even though these are very short segments, these guys are sitting down in front of one another and saying how they feel, relaying what they want to relay. Look at the X Division. The person I felt that shined the best was Zema Ion. He just did. Even though, well, how can I say it like this? Mandrews, well, he really doesn't have any character whatsoever. Tigre Uno, who has been champ, he does have some level of character. And since he can't talk English, which was very good, I'm very happy to see it. When it came to Manic and it came to Zema Ion, they spoke the best. They just did. And I still believe Zema Ion and Manic should become a tag team. But when it came down to it, I was very happy to see it. I loved seeing that. Kenny King versus Ao Sher, I believe his name is. I don't remember the guy's name. He's very unmemorable, even though he does have a little bit of personality. When it comes down to it, the match for Kenny King was actually quite good. I like that it's 15 minutes. They hold it at that amount. Last week, it was actually pretty good, seeing that EC3 and Austin Aries had a 15-minute match and drew to a 1 point each for both of them. I actually was alright with that. Seeing Kenny King win was alright with that. Him going back to his old personality before he became the King of the Night, which I wish the Pope would not say the King of the Night because he doesn't act like it. He acts like a little kid. At least he only said it once. And I was alright with that. The thing I wish they could have thrown into the show was the Knockouts division. They did it last week, and I'm sure they're going to do it next week. But I kind of wish they could have done a promo with the Knockouts instead of like a video package of the Knockouts in their calendar. I felt they're missing something there because when you look at the WWE, the Divas are doing absolutely nothing. I can understand they're trying to sell the calendar, but I would like to see Awesome Kong there. like she was there last week and she spoke. That is what I wanted to see. The one thing I felt was very good about the show was the 2 video segments and the 2 matches. Matt Hardy versus Davey Richard and Storm versus Rude. Now, I know I got a lot more to talk about, and I am going to talk about it. But I got to say this. When it came to Matt Hardy losing his title, I was alright with it. Because he's not out of the picture yet. The way things work, he could still get the title back. This is a possibility to build him up to make him interesting. Robert Roode and James Storm, who had some of the best matches and a decent storyline years ago, was given a moment. And I felt it was very good. And the matches were very good. Robert Roode and Matt Hardy won their respective matches, which I'm alright with. And I'm very glad to see it. It flows well with the show. The guy who lost his title was at the opening of the show. He had his moments to talk lightly. And he had his match where he won and he can try and regain his belt. 2 of the best, well, if you want to say it, of the TNA originals who have had the titles had a very good match, and I enjoyed that. I really didn't care that much about Robbie E. and the Abyss. I can understand why they had the match, and I understand that the Abyss, not Robbie E., I'm sorry, Eli, I'm sorry I said Robbie E., there's a lot of things going on in this show. Eli versus the Abyss, I think the Abyss shouldn't have won, but they are trying to put the Abyss against James Storm eventually. I do believe Eli has more build, even if it's not great build. So I think he should have won it. But it is for what it is. Now, Robbie E. versus Eddie Edwards. That might be compelling. And I know people are going to say, are you kidding me? The jobber against Eddie Edwards? Why did they let him win? Well, look at this. Robbie E., even if he's not one of the best, he has shown moments that he can do work. He can do a decent promo, and he can work decently in the ring. He's no match for Eddie Edwards, even though he could do a kip-up. And it was a very short kip-up at that. Eddie Edwards had to help his ass. But still, you could actually have a feud between Eddie Edwards and Robbie E. It could actually happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could. And that's compelling in itself. Because you wouldn't expect these guys to interact at all. But we did get something, and I did enjoy that, even if it wasn't great. Let me see, am I forgetting anything? I really believe that when you look at this show, and I don't think there's anything else I'm forgetting. If there is, I'm sorry. But when you look at this show, and the show last week, it is a far superior product, and I'm kind of stretching it a little bit because TNA is not there yet. The video editing was terrible last week, and it kind of covers in this week. It's like they realized they needed more than 2 hours, and they just have to cut some shit just in mid-sentence, which I felt was very sloppy. Some moments in some of the videos, I mean for the wrestling video, how am I going to say wrestling video? For the matches, sorry, were very bad. Like Crazy Steve and Muhammad Ashira, why would you cut out 2 seconds or a second and it looks stupid? You should have took out the calendar bit for the girls and just focus on the next week. That would have been better. But I'm telling you, if you want to know which show is better at this moment, even though the WWE is giving us 10 matches last week and maybe 9 to 10 matches the week before and the week before that, it really has no substance. So I'm actually posing this to you. Consider TNA. Even though it is a stretch, it's more entertaining. It's something different, even if it is something rehashed many years down the line. Now, there's one thing I need to say last. I will be possibly going to jury duty. Right now, I am just a, I've never heard of this before, but an actual standby telephone juror. In other words, I got to call up and I think I got to listen to the case And essentially speaking, I have to know what's going on, and if something happens to one of the other jurors, I have to be basically called in. So I can't guarantee I'll be able to do any videos after Friday, because I have to call in after Friday, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. I may be called in next Monday to actually go to court, and that might take up my time. I'll try and do my videos, but I am telling you ahead of time that I have been called into jury duty. Even though I don't have to go in, I still have to call in and possibly listen to the case. So if you don't see any videos from me from this moment on, just know that's the situation. And that's one of the other reasons why I've had nasty stress. Those types of things stress me out a bit and make me very nervous, even though it's not something bad. But you guys, just tell me how you felt about this TNA. Did you like the new format of TNA? Do you like seeing the Josh Matthews and the Pope D'Angelo De Niro talking the way they are? Because I really feel like they're really helping the product. But this is just my point of view. How about yours? So I hope you enjoyed the Zane View. Please give me a comment below. Tell me how you feel. Tell me your experiences in jury duty if you want. If you're from America, just leave a message. I don't mind listening to them, or not listening, reading them. And you guys have a good day and have a good night. Peace!